Stop scrolling. Just listen. You were meant to hear this today. Welcome to my channel.
Chosen one, pause for a moment and listen carefully. What I am about to share is not for everyone. This message is urgent, and it is sacred. If you are not walking the divine path, if you mock God's voice or ignore His calling, this message is not for you. You should not be here. But if you are still watching, it is because God Himself allowed this message to reach you. Only His true chosen ones remain when truth is spoken without apology. I speak with certainty when I say this. This message has reached you at the exact right time, not early, not late, perfectly aligned. A major blessing is already moving toward you, and within the next 72 hours, God's favor will begin to reveal itself in ways you did not expect. What is coming is not random, and it is not emotional hype. It is divine order. If you stay with me until the end, you will understand why the last season had to break you the way it did, and why the next one will restore you quietly but powerfully. Before we continue, chosen ones, give a like to this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, tap the bell icon, and share this message with other chosen ones who need clarity right now. And comment 777 in the comments as a declaration that you are aligned with God's timing and ready to receive what He has prepared for you. Why this message found you now. Divine timing explained. Chosen one, I want you to breathe for a moment. Slow your thoughts. Let your spirit settle. Because what I am about to explain will remove a heavy burden you've been carrying without realizing it. Many of you have been asking silently, why now? Why this message? Why today of all days? And I tell you this with calm authority. Nothing in God's kingdom arrives by accident, especially not a message like this. This message did not reach you because you searched for it. It reached you because heaven released it. God does not speak when we demand answers. He speaks when our spirit is finally quiet enough to receive truth. You have been through seasons where you prayed and heard nothing. Seasons where you showed up faithfully, yet doors stayed closed. And you wondered if you were forgotten. You weren't. You were being prepared. Divine timing does not move according to human impatience. It moves according to readiness. And readiness is not about strength. It is about surrender. There were things you asked God for before that you could not have handled then. Not because you were unworthy, but because receiving them too early would have broken you. God delays to protect. He withholds to mature. And He waits until your heart can carry the weight of the blessing without losing itself. You see, chosen ones are always trained in silence. God pulls you back from noise so your spirit can grow roots. That loneliness you felt was not rejection. It was separation. That confusion was not failure. It was refinement. And those moments where you felt spiritually numb were not abandonment. They were the deep work of alignment happening beneath the surface. This is why this message finds you now. Because you are no longer the same person who cried for answers months ago. You are quieter, more discerning, less reactive. You've stopped begging God to fix everything immediately. And without realizing it, you passed a test of trust, a test of patience, a test of endurance. God does not announce elevation loudly. He confirms it quietly, and when He does, He sends confirmation that speaks directly to the soul, not the ego. That is what this is. This message is not here to excite you. It is here to steady you, to remind you that heaven has been watching every unseen sacrifice you made when no one applauded. Every tear you wiped in private, every time you chose obedience over comfort. You may feel tired, not physically tired, spiritually tired. That deep kind of exhaustion that sleep does not fix. That happens when you've been carrying hope for a long time without visible results. And I want you to know something important. That fatigue is not weakness. It is evidence that you've been faithful under pressure. Weak people quit early. Chosen ones endure quietly. This message comes now because God knows your mind has been wrestling lately. You've been thinking more than usual, replaying moments, questioning decisions, wondering if you missed something. Let me settle that for you. You did not miss your moment. Your moment was waiting for you to become this version of yourself. The one who no longer chases validation. The one who no longer panics when silence comes. The one who understands that God works beyond human clocks. There is a reason this message feels different. It is not loud. It is not rushed. It does not pressure you. It simply resonates. That is how divine timing feels. Calm, certain, grounded. When God speaks at the right time, your spirit recognizes truth before your mind catches up. You are not late in life, you are not behind spiritually, and you are not falling short. You are exactly where alignment happens. Right between surrender and fulfillment. Right between letting go and receiving. And that space is uncomfortable, but it is holy. Many people walk away right before this stage. They get tired of waiting. They start forcing outcomes. They compromise. They rush connections. They settle for substitutes. But you didn't. You stayed. Even when it hurt. Even when it made no sense. Even when you felt unseen. And heaven took note of that. This message finds you now because God knows your heart can finally handle truth without fear. Before, truth would have overwhelmed you. Now, it steadies you. Before, blessing would have distracted you. Now, it will ground you. That is growth. That is readiness. I want you to release the idea that you need to understand everything before it happens. God does not explain the full picture in advance. He reveals just enough to keep you anchored, just enough to remind you that He is in control. And this message is part of that reminder. The next 72 hours are not about anticipation. They are about alignment, about staying calm, about trusting that what has been set in motion does not require your anxiety to arrive. You are not waiting for God. God has been waiting for this version of you. So let your heart rest here. You are not imagining the shift you feel. You are not wrong for sensing that something is changing. You are not foolish for believing after all you've endured. This message came because divine timing said now. And when God says now, He does not hesitate. The hidden test before the blessing. Chosen one. There is something you must understand if you want peace in this moment. God never releases a major blessing without first allowing a private test. And I say private because most people never saw what you went through. They only see the calm you carry now. They don't know the battles that happened in your mind late at night. They don't know how close you came to giving up. But heaven knows, and that is what matters. Before God changes your situation, He always strengthens your foundation, because blessings are weighty. They come with responsibility, clarity, and sometimes separation. If your inner world is unstable, the blessing will crush you instead of lifting you. That is why the test came first. Not to break you, to prepare you. Many of you went through a season that felt unfair. You were doing the right things, yet things kept falling apart. You were faithful, yet misunderstood. You were patient, yet overlooked. And there were moments when you quietly asked God, "Why am I being treated like this when I'm trying to walk uprightly?" That question alone tells me you are chosen, because chosen ones are tested differently. The test was not about how much you could endure. It was about how you would respond when nothing made sense. Would you become bitter or better? Would you shut down or seek God deeper? Would you abandon your faith or refine it? And even on days when you felt weak, you did not walk away. You questioned. Yes, you doubted sometimes. But you stayed connected. That matters more than perfection. One of the hardest parts of this test was isolation. God removed people without explanation. Conversations stopped. Support faded. Familiar connections felt distant. And you wondered if you did something wrong. You didn't. God was thinning out distractions so your spirit could hear clearly. Some people were never meant to go where God is taking you. Their exit was protection, not punishment. Then came emotional fatigue, that deep weariness that no amount of rest seemed to fix. You weren't tired of life, you were tired of waiting, tired of hoping quietly, tired of carrying faith without evidence. That kind of exhaustion is unique to chosen ones, because you are built to carry vision before manifestation, and that takes strength most people never develop. There were also moments when your faith felt silent. You prayed, but heaven felt quiet. And silence can be more difficult than struggle, because at least struggle feels active. Silence forces trust. Silence reveals what you believe when there are no signs. And this was part of the test. Would you trust God without constant reassurance? Let me say this clearly. God was never absent. He was observing, watching how you handled disappointment, watching how you spoke when things didn't go your way, watching whether you would compromise your values just to feel relief. And even when you stumbled emotionally, your heart remained aligned. That is why you passed. The test also exposed something important. It showed you who you really are without external validation. When applause stopped, when recognition disappeared, when your efforts seemed unnoticed, you learned to stand alone with God. And that is dangerous in the best way, because a person who knows who they are in God cannot be shaken by opinion, delay, or denial. Some of you were tested through temptation. Shortcuts presented themselves, easy exits, opportunities that looked good on the surface but felt wrong in your spirit. And you hesitated. You didn't rush. You listened inwardly. That restraint was not weakness. It was wisdom, and it protected your destiny. Others were tested through emotional wounds, betrayal, disappointment, broken trust, things that hit deep because you loved sincerely. And instead of becoming hardened, you became more discerning. You learned boundaries without losing compassion. That is rare, and God values that deeply. I want you to hear this. The test was not meant to disqualify you. It was meant to refine you. Fire does not destroy gold, it reveals it. And what came out of that season was not a weaker version of you. It was a quieter, stronger, more grounded version. You no longer react the way you used to. You pause, you reflect, you pray. You don't chase, you don't force, you don't beg. That is evidence of maturity. That is how you know the test did its work. Many people fail this stage because they interpret delay as rejection. They assume God is punishing them, so they abandon the process. But you stayed, even when you were confused, even when you were tired, even when your faith felt fragile. You stayed, and that endurance speaks louder than any loud declaration ever could. This test also taught you humility. You realized you don't control outcomes, you control obedience. You learned to release what you cannot change, to trust timing you cannot see, to believe without demanding proof. That kind of faith moves heaven. Now listen carefully. The reason the blessing is close is because the test is complete. God does not drag out preparation unnecessarily. When the lesson is learned, the season shifts, and that shift often comes quietly, suddenly, without warning. You may not feel victorious. You may not feel excited. You may just feel calm. That calm is confirmation, because panic leaves when trust arrives, and you are no longer fighting God's process. You are aligned with it. The pain you went through was not wasted. It gave you discernment. It gave you depth. It gave you spiritual authority, authority that cannot be taught, authority that only comes from walking through fire and choosing faith anyway. So do not resent the test. Do not minimize it. Honor it. It shaped you into someone who can receive without pride and hold without fear. And that is exactly the kind of vessel God fills. What is coming is not a reward for suffering. It is a response to obedience. And obedience, when tested, always brings favor. The test is over, chosen one, and heaven is not silent anymore. What makes this blessing different from the past? Chosen one, I need you to listen to this part very carefully, because this is where many people misunderstand what God is about to do. What is coming to you is not like what you received before. And it is not because you were undeserving back then. It is because you were not yet prepared to hold what is about to arrive now. In the past, some blessings excited you, but did not settle you. They came with joy, but also with anxiety. They gave you something in your hands, but not peace in your spirit. You were grateful, yes, but still unsure, still restless, still questioning. That is because earlier blessings were developmental. They were meant to teach you, stretch you, and reveal what was still unhealed inside you. This blessing is different because it is not meant to test you. It is meant to establish you. Earlier blessings came with lessons. This one comes with alignment. Earlier blessings required constant effort to maintain. This one will feel steady. Earlier blessings made you ask, "Is this really from God?" This one will quiet that question before it even forms in your mind. You see, God gives in layers. He does not pour everything at once. He watches how you handle increase, how you respond to favor, how you treat peace when it finally arrives. Before, peace would have made you complacent or fearful. Now, peace will make you clear. This blessing is different because it will not pull you away from God. It will pull you closer. Anything that distances you from Him is not favor, no matter how good it looks. True favor stabilizes your spirit. It does not inflate your ego, and that is exactly why God waited. Some of you received opportunities before that looked right, but felt heavy. You had to overthink everything. You had to force outcomes. You had to constantly prove yourself. That was not because you failed. It was because the season was incomplete. God allows those experiences to show you what alignment is not, so you can recognize what alignment is when it finally comes. What is approaching you now will not require you to beg, chase, or exhaust yourself. It will come with a sense of permission, as if heaven itself cleared the path. Doors will open without you explaining your worth. Conversations will flow without you defending your intentions. You will not have to shrink or perform to belong. That alone should tell you this blessing is different. This blessing will also bring clarity, not just externally, but internally. Decisions that once felt confusing will feel obvious. People who once drained you will no longer confuse you. You will not need signs to confirm what your spirit already knows. And that clarity is a gift many people underestimate. In the past, you may have prayed for things that satisfied your needs. Now God is responding to your alignment. There is a difference. Needs change. Alignment remains. When God blesses alignment, He is blessing purpose, not just comfort. Another reason this blessing is different is because it comes without fear of loss. Before, you were always afraid something would be taken away. You enjoyed moments, but you couldn't relax. You were waiting for the other shoe to drop. That fear was not weakness. It was immaturity of the season. Now, that fear has been replaced with trust. You are no longer desperate for outcomes, and desperation blocks blessings. Calm expectancy attracts them. You no longer measure your worth by results. You measure it by obedience. And that shift changed everything in the spiritual realm. This blessing is also different because it will not isolate you emotionally. Some blessings separate you temporarily for growth. This one brings connection where it belongs and removes connection where it does not. You will feel supported without being dependent, seen without being exposed, valued without being used. I also want to address something important. This blessing may not look dramatic at first glance. It may not impress people who only understand success through noise and attention, but it will feel right to you, deeply right, and that matters more than applause. God is not trying to prove anything through you anymore. He is establishing something. There is a difference between being showcased and being settled. You are moving into a settled season. You will notice that you respond differently when this blessing arrives. You won't rush to announce it. You won't feel the need to convince anyone. You will protect it quietly. That is wisdom. That is maturity. That is how you know this season is real. In previous seasons, you were learning who to trust. This blessing comes after discernment has been sharpened. You are no longer easily impressed. You listen more than you speak. You observe before you commit. That restraint will preserve what God is giving you. This blessing is also different because it will heal areas you stopped talking about. Old disappointments, silent grief, questions you never asked out loud. God is not just adding something new. He is restoring something broken. And restoration feels different from replacement. Replacement tries to distract you from pain. Restoration resolves it. Some of you will notice that this blessing brings peace to your nervous system. You will sleep better, think clearer, react less. That is not coincidence. That is alignment showing up in the body. When your spirit is settled, your mind follows. And let me say this with clarity. This blessing is not a reward for being perfect. It is a response to you becoming honest, humble, and obedient. God does not bless performance. He blesses posture, and your posture has changed. You are no longer asking, "Why me?" out of insecurity. You are asking, "What now?" out of readiness. That shift is powerful. Do not compare what is coming to what others have. Comparison will blind you to your own favor. God's blessings are tailored. What fits you would burden someone else, and what looks small to them may be life-changing for you. This blessing is different because it will not compete with your peace. It will protect it. It will not demand your identity. It will affirm it, and it will not rush you. It will walk with you. So when it begins to unfold, do not second-guess it. Do not look for chaos where there is calm. Do not question God because things feel easy. Ease does not mean it is not God. Sometimes ease means you finally aligned with His timing. You are not stepping into excitement alone. You are stepping into stability, and stability is the foundation of lasting favor. This is not the blessing that teaches you who God is. This is the blessing that confirms you already know Him. The 72-hour window, how God moves suddenly. Chosen one, I want to gently steady your heart here because the moment we speak about timing, the human mind has a tendency to rush ahead. So listen to me slowly and carefully. The next 72 hours are not about anxiety, countdowns, or watching the clock. They are about understanding how God moves when preparation is complete. God is not slow. He is precise. There are moments in Scripture where years of waiting were followed by sudden change. One word, one encounter, one instruction, and everything shifted. Not because God just decided to act, but because alignment had finally been reached. That is how divine acceleration works. Long seasons of silence, followed by swift movement. You have already lived through the long season. The stretching, the pruning, the waiting, the unanswered prayers. What is happening now is not the beginning of something new. It is the release of something that has already been prepared behind the scenes. God does not scramble at the last moment. He does not improvise blessings. What is coming toward you was set in motion long before you felt ready. Heaven has been arranging details while you were learning patience. Conversations have already been influenced. Opportunities already positioned, hearts already softened. You are simply stepping into what has been quietly prepared. This is why it can happen quickly. When God moves suddenly, it often feels unreal at first. You may find yourself thinking, why now? Why so fast? But sudden does not mean rushed. Sudden means the resistance has been removed. Once alignment is complete, there is nothing left to delay. Think about this. For months, maybe years, nothing seemed to move. And now, all at once, you sense momentum. That is not coincidence. That is confirmation. God does not tease His children with false shifts. When He allows you to feel movement, it is because something is actually moving. The 72-hour window is significant not because of the number itself, but because it represents readiness meeting obedience. It represents the moment where God no longer needs to prepare you, and you no longer need to wait. But I need you to hear this clearly. Sudden blessings rarely arrive in dramatic packaging. They often arrive through ordinary moments. A conversation, an idea, an invitation, a realization. Do not overlook what seems small. God often hides life-changing moments inside normal days. This is where discernment matters. When God moves suddenly, the enemy tries to introduce confusion. Doubt whispers, "This is too good to be true." Fear asks, "What if this doesn't last?" But fear always speaks when faith is about to be rewarded. Do not negotiate with those thoughts. Observe them, then release them. You are not required to figure out how the blessing will arrive. That is not your responsibility. Your responsibility is to remain aligned, calm, grounded, present. Anxiety does not speed God up. It distracts you from recognizing His hand when He moves. Some of you are expecting a dramatic external breakthrough, and it may come, but for others, the sudden shift will begin internally. A burden lifting, a clarity settling, a decision becoming obvious. Do not underestimate internal breakthroughs. They often precede external ones. God changes the inner world before He rearranges the outer one. You may also notice that things begin to line up without force. People respond differently. Doors open with less resistance. Situations that once felt blocked suddenly feel fluid. That ease is not laziness, it is alignment. When God is involved, effort feels different. It is focused, not frantic. I also want to caution you against announcing expectations to people who do not understand your calling. Sudden blessings require protection. Not secrecy out of fear, but wisdom out of maturity. Not everyone needs access to what God is doing in your life. During this window, remain observant, not obsessive. Be attentive without being tense. Stay prayerful without being fearful. God does not need you to perform spiritually. He needs you to trust. There is a temptation during moments like this to revisit the past, to replay old disappointments, to ask, why did it take so long? That question will not serve you now. The waiting shaped you, the silence strengthened you, and the delay protected you from becoming someone you were not meant to be. God moves suddenly when preparation is complete, not when impatience peaks. The reason this shift feels unfamiliar is because you are not used to ease. You became accustomed to struggle, to resistance, to effort without reward. So when God begins to move smoothly, your mind tries to search for danger. That is learned survival, not spiritual discernment. Let me say this plainly. Peace is not a warning sign. Peace is confirmation. If what begins to unfold brings calm instead of chaos, clarity instead of confusion, grounding instead of ego, then you are not imagining it. You are witnessing God move without resistance. The 72 hours are not about watching for fireworks. They are about staying present enough to recognize alignment when it appears. Some of you will look back later and realize the shift began quietly. A sentence someone spoke. A decision you finally made. A door that opened without struggle. That is how God often works with chosen ones. Quietly, intentionally, without spectacle. Do not rush ahead of God. Do not lag behind in fear. Walk at the pace of peace. That is where favor flows. You are not waiting for permission anymore. Heaven has already cleared the way. What is unfolding now does not need to be forced. It needs to be received. So stay grounded. Stay faithful. Stay calm. God is not about to surprise you with chaos. He is about to confirm what He has been preparing all along. What you must do and not do during these 72 hours. Chosen one, this part requires maturity, not excitement. Because when God prepares to release something significant, the enemy does not attack the blessing itself. He targets your posture, your mindset, your words, your reactions. That is why what you do in these next 72 hours matters. Not because you can stop God, but because you can either receive with peace or contaminate the moment with fear. Let me say this clearly. You do not need to strive right now. You do not need to prove anything. You do not need to convince God you are ready. The work has already been done. What remains is alignment. The first thing you must do is slow down internally. Even if life around you feels busy, your inner world must remain calm. When your thoughts race, your discernment weakens. Stillness sharpens spiritual hearing. You don't need to isolate yourself completely, but you do need to create moments of quiet. Moments where you listen more than you speak. Where you observe without reacting. Prayer during this time should be simple, honest, unforced. You don't need long speeches. God is not impressed by volume. Speak plainly. Gratitude is powerful right now. Thank God not just for what you want, but for what He has already brought you through. Gratitude anchors the heart and removes anxiety from expectation. Another important instruction is this: guard your words carefully. Chosen one, words carry spiritual weight, especially when alignment is active. Avoid negative self-talk. Avoid speaking doubt out loud. Avoid rehearsing old disappointments. You are not denying reality. You are protecting momentum. There is a difference. Do not say things like, "Nothing ever works out for me," or "I'll believe it when I see it." Those words may feel harmless, but they reveal internal resistance. Speak peace, even if you don't fully feel it yet. Say less if needed. Silence is often wiser than careless speech. Now let me tell you what not to do. Do not revisit old doors that God already closed. Nostalgia can be a trap. Do not reach out to people who drained you just because you feel uncertain. Do not seek validation from those who never understood your calling. What God is doing now requires discernment, not familiarity. Do not overanalyze signs. God is not trying to confuse you. If you feel peace, trust it. If something feels forced, pause. You do not need constant confirmation when alignment is present. Overanalyzing is often disguised fear. Also, resist the urge to make impulsive decisions. Sudden blessings do not require sudden reactions. Let things unfold naturally. If something is from God, it will remain stable without pressure. Urgency that produces panic is not divine. Urgency that produces clarity is. Rest is important during this window. Many chosen ones feel guilty for resting, as if stillness means laziness. That belief came from survival seasons, not from God. Rest allows your nervous system to reset, and when your body is calm, your spirit can receive more clearly. Pay attention to your emotions, but do not let them lead. Emotions are information, not instruction. If fear rises, acknowledge it without obeying it. If excitement rises, ground it with wisdom. Balance is key right now. Another thing you must do is remain present. Do not live 3 days ahead in your imagination. Do not replay yesterday's pain. Stay here. Stay now. God moves in the present moment. Anxiety lives in the future. Regret lives in the past. Peace lives where God is, right now. Be careful with who you allow into your mental space. Not everyone deserves access to your thoughts. Limit conversations that stir doubt or negativity. This is not arrogance. It is stewardship. If you feel prompted to forgive during this time, do it quietly. Forgiveness clears space. It does not excuse behavior, but it releases weight. You don't need to confront anyone unless God specifically leads you. Sometimes forgiveness is internal, and that is enough. Do not attempt to control outcomes. Control is often fear wearing a mask of responsibility. Trust does not mean passivity. It means cooperation. Do what is required of you without attachment to results. Also, remain physically grounded. Eat properly. Sleep when you can. Go outside if possible. The body and spirit are connected. When the body is neglected, spiritual sensitivity dulls. Let me remind you of something important. You are not being tested right now. The test has passed. This is a receiving posture, not a proving one. Do not re-enter survival mode when you should be resting in trust. If something unexpected happens, pause before reacting. Ask inwardly, is this aligned? You don't need to rush to label everything good or bad. Let clarity come before action. And finally, keep your heart open without being naive. Openness with discernment is wisdom. Suspicion closes doors God wants open. Naivety opens doors God wants closed. Balance protects you. Chosen one, these next 72 hours are not fragile. You are not walking on thin ice. God is not waiting for you to mess up. He is inviting you to rest in alignment. Stay calm, stay grounded, stay faithful, and let what is already in motion come to you without resistance. Confirmation signs. God may show you. Chosen one, I want to guide you gently here, because confirmation is meant to bring peace, not obsession. Many people miss what God is doing because they are looking for signs instead of recognizing alignment. God does not need to shout to confirm His will. He confirms through calm assurance, inner clarity, and quiet consistency. One of the first confirmations God often gives is peace. Not excitement, not adrenaline. Peace. a deep settling in your spirit that does not depend on circumstances. You may notice that thoughts that once triggered anxiety no longer have the same grip. Situations that used to overwhelm you now feel manageable. That is not emotional numbness. That is spiritual grounding. Another confirmation is clarity. You begin to see things as they are, not as you hoped or feared them to be. Decisions that once felt complicated suddenly feel obvious. You don't have to wrestle internally as much. When God confirms alignment, confusion leaves first. You may also notice a shift in how you respond to people. Things that once provoked you no longer do. Conversations that used to drain you now feel irrelevant. This is not apathy. This is discernment maturing. God often confirms direction by changing your reactions before he changes your environment. Some of you will experience confirmation through timing. A conversation happens at just the right moment. A thought you were praying about is answered without effort. A door opens that you were no longer trying to force. These moments feel natural, not dramatic. That is how God often works with chosen ones. Pay attention to what no longer disturbs your peace. That is a sign of growth and alignment. When God confirms something, he removes the internal resistance that once existed. You stop arguing with yourself. You stop seeking approval. You stop second-guessing what feels right. Another confirmation may come through repeated themes. Not signs you chase, but patterns that appear gently. Words you hear from different places that echo the same truth. Encouragement that aligns rather than confuses. God confirms through consistency, not chaos. Let me caution you here. Do not demand signs. Faith that demands proof is often rooted in fear. Trust allows confirmation to come naturally. When you stop hunting for reassurance, reassurance finds you. Some confirmations are internal shifts. A desire you once had fades without effort. An attachment loosens. A fear dissolves quietly. Those changes are just as significant as external breakthroughs. God often prepares the heart before he changes the situation. You may also feel a renewed sense of purpose. Not urgency, purpose. A calm knowing of what matters and what does not. You begin to prioritize differently. You protect your time. You value your energy. That clarity is a confirmation that alignment has taken place. If God confirms externally, it will not violate your peace. If something brings confusion, pressure, or fear, pause. God's confirmations do not rush you. They steady you. Be careful not to compare confirmations. God speaks uniquely to each of his children. What confirms someone else may not confirm you. That does not mean you are missing out. It means your relationship with God is personal. Another important sign is restraint. You no longer feel the need to explain yourself. You don't feel compelled to announce what God is doing. Silence becomes comfortable. That is wisdom. When God confirms something, he teaches you how to protect it. You may also notice that your prayers change. You stop asking the same questions repeatedly. You stop begging. Your prayers become more about alignment than outcomes. That shift is confirmation that trust has deepened. Sometimes confirmation comes through restlessness leaving. The constant mental noise quiets. You feel more present, more grounded. That is not coincidence. That is your spirit recognizing safety in God's timing. Let me say this clearly. Confirmation is not always an event. Sometimes it is a gradual knowing, a steady assurance that does not need explanation. When God confirms, you don't need to convince yourself. You simply know. If you find yourself calmer, more discerning, less reactive, and more trusting, those are confirmations. If you feel protected from rushing into old patterns, that is confirmation. If you feel a quiet confidence replacing anxiety, that is confirmation. Do not dismiss these moments because they are subtle. God often works subtly to protect what is sacred. Chosen one. Confirmation is not meant to excite your ego. It is meant to settle your spirit. And when your spirit is settled, you are ready to receive without fear. Trust what brings peace, honor what brings clarity, and allow confirmation to come without forcing it. God knows how to speak to you, and He always confirms what He initiates. Conclusion. Receive this blessing with confidence. Chosen one, take this moment in quietly. You do not need to rush. You do not need to prove anything. What God is doing in your life right now is not fragile, and it is not dependent on your perfection. It is anchored in His favor, not your fear. You have walked through confusion and come out with clarity. You have endured silence and learned trust. You have carried weight that many would have dropped long ago, and because of that, you are standing at the edge of something meaningful, not loud, not chaotic, but stable, affirming, and divinely timed. Let this truth settle in you. You are not forgotten. You are not late. You are not overlooked. Heaven knows your name, your story, and your obedience. And what is unfolding now is not a test of your faith. It is a confirmation of it. Receive what comes with calm expectation, not anxious anticipation. God's favor does not arrive to overwhelm you. It arrives to establish you. You do not need to question peace when it comes. Peace is how you will recognize that this is real. Walk forward without fear. Speak less. Trust more. Stay grounded. Stay faithful. And allow God to complete what He has already begun. Before you go, chosen ones, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, tap the bell icon so you never miss what God is releasing next, and share this message with other chosen ones who need reassurance right now. And once again, comment 777 in the comments as a declaration that you are aligned with God's timing and ready to receive His favor. What is coming does not need your worry, it needs your trust.